Hello, welcome to the first section of the course. In this section, we are going to install Android Studio. We are going to create a new project explaining what an activity is and what an SDK is. Then we are going to download the SDK Manager and learn how to download and be up to date with the latest version of Android. After that, we are going to launch our first application on our mobile and on an Android emulator. If you don't like the emulator very much, because sometimes it can be very slow, in the fifth lesson we will see how to install Genymotion. Genymotion is a quicker emulator, much better than the Android one, and strongly recommended for this course. And finally, we are going to finish with an exercise that you will have to do yourself, displaying the application in a 10-inch tablet. Okay, let's start downloading Android Studio. Open a browser and go to developer.android.com. We can see here the latest version of Android, Android 6 Marshmallow. If you scroll a bit down to the section that says Build Beautiful Apps, which is what we are going to do, they are not going to be that beautiful at first until we learn something, but at the end of the course they will be very beautiful. So if you see the icon in the bottom right corner, the icon of Android Studio, we can click on Download Android Studio and SDK Tools. Android Studio is the official tool to develop for Android. If you look at this image, this is how Android Studio is going to look. In the left part of the screen, you can see a project structure with all the files. Then you can see some code in the middle of the screen, and you can see some views. These views are screens that we will have to create for our application. Android Studio is a tool that makes our life really easy. It has an intelligent code editor. The tools that we are using are going to tell us if we do some mistake, and are going to make us suggestion on the way. So it will be easier to know what are we writing and if we are writing it correctly or not. With Android Studio, we can create projects starting for some templates. So for example, if I want to start creating an application with tabs at the top, I can start with a template. I don't have to build everything from scratch. Apart from that, it has multi-screen app development. We can develop apps for different screens and different devices. We can develop apps for phones, tablet, Android Wear, Android TV, Android Auto, and Google+. And we will be able to see how our application looks in different devices. For that, we also have different emulators, so we are not only able to see how they look, but we are also able to test them. If we want to make an application for an Android watch, we don't need to have a physical watch. What we need is an emulator of the watch, so we can run the application in the emulator. The result will be exactly the same as it is a real device. So we don't need to have a tablet, we don't need to have a car with Android Auto. We will use emulators, and we will be able to do application for all of this. There is some more advanced stuff about Android Studio that we will see later in the course. But now you have an idea of what it has. So click on Download Android Studio. You can read and accept the terms and conditions and click on Download Android Studio again. Now this is going to redirect us to the installation instructions. If for some reason this doesn't redirect us, just click Installing the SDK in the left part of the screen. So Android Studio needs a Java Development Kit or JDK with a version higher than 7. If you don't have this already, go and download the JDK from the following link and click on Download and download the version for your operative system. I need to accept the license first and download the version for Mac. So both files are downloading now. I have them here ready. So let's start first installing the Java Development Kit. I'm going to show how to install it in a Mac, but it should be the same in a Windows or Linux. So first we install JDK and after that we will install Android Studio. In case that you open Android Studio in Windows and you have a problem with the JDK, if you come back to the installation instructions, you have the solution for the problem here. So follow these steps. Okay, now we install Android Studio. We just need to drag and drop it to Applications. It has finished copying, so we are able to open it. And we are ready to start creating our first application.